What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another match review for you guys. As Spurs finally brought home 3 points. It felt like it's been so long since Spurs have won a game of football.
Although it did make it 5 wins in a row at home.
I know, it's crazy. I was looking at that home form yesterday and I was just like, wow, like how is our home form so good? And the teams we've beaten in that run as well, Man City, Chelsea, West Ham, and now Brighton. It's crazy to think about like a club in full-blown crisis, sacking their manager, sporting director nowhere to be seen, and we won our 5th game in a row at home, and we're sitting here being like, oh, it's the biggest crisis we've ever been in.
It's because I guess I think our away form has been so bad.
Yeah. But look, we won the game yesterday, but that definitely did not tell the full story of that game yesterday. And you know, the progress bar of the game pretty much tells an accurate story of the game. If you bring it up, that's basically a domination job from Brighton yesterday. They dominated. I think they had 72% possession in the first half. They had about 69 or 70% in the second half. And we just got so lucky yesterday, didn't we?
You can see it. It's like, I think it really does accurately represent, especially in the first half, how the game went, because Spurs did carry a threat on the counter, but we didn't really create many opportunities. We created a lot of openings on counter attacks, but we didn't really fashion many opportunities. And then Brighton looked like they could carve us open at any moment.
At will, yeah.
They were dominating possession. They were looking so good. Early on, obviously, Son scores that magnificent goal in after 10 minutes, and it was kind of out of the blue. It wasn't like a case of sustained pressure or anything. He just took the ball from 25 yards and he does what he does. We know Son's capable of that, and that put us in a position to be in the lead, and Brighton had to kind of not open up, but really force the issue. But when they did, it was really backs against the wall stuff for Tottenham. We did the very few times we got it to Harry Kane, we did look like a bit of a threat. He was able to get it out wide to Kulusevski, or he was able to get it to Son. But I felt like Brighton, again, we didn't make the most of it, but also Brighton defended those situations fairly well. And we were kind of Son. On a number of occasions, Son isolated the defender one-on-one and didn't have the confidence to get beyond him and really fashion the opportunities.
There's also times where we're on breakaways, we're in really good positions, but our talisman in Harry Kane and Heung-min Son were so deep because they pinned us back so much. I felt like at times it was Ollie Skip on his own, trying to charge at the
happened a few times,
the defence, and I was just like, where is everyone else? Why is it only Ollie Skip, the one driving forward? And really, because there were good opportunities for us. We had them on the back foot, and if our other players, if Heung-min Son, Harry Kane and Kulusevski were there and really tried to help and help the attack, we could be talking about more goals there.
Definitely. A number of times Skip was leading the charge by himself. He had no support, it seemed, and he carried the ball so far, but he wasn't there was no one. There was no one around him. But yes, we had those fleeting opportunities on the counter, but no mistake about it. Brighton, when they were dominating possession, and not only were they dominating, but they were really hurting us. They pretty much as soon as we scored, I think Matoma had that goal ruled out. We'll get into all the decisions later, but because Matoma had that goal ruled out pretty much after a couple minutes after we'd scored, which was a brilliant move from them.
By the way, that goal got ruled out. As much as you want to say it was a brilliant move from them, it was absolutely shocking defending from Spurs. Absolutely shocking. Dyer.
Yeah.
What is Dyer doing? Trying to find Harry Kane, an absolute hospital ball that comes all the way back.
How many times in the last 3 games has Dyer just given the ball away on his own, on the edge of his own area?
He's just ping it into the middle of the park to Harry Kane, and it's just not working. I mean, Dyer was pissing me off yesterday. I mean, I think the stat was 7 long balls attempted, 0 pulled off yesterday.
Really? Yeah. 0? He didn't? Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, he obviously gave that ball away for the goal, which got ruled out.
And not only that, but Romero gets caught massively out of position as well for that in that moment.
Romero, well, he does, but he gets put in trouble, you know what I mean? So it's not like we're a settled defence and he gets caught out of position. We're at panic stations.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a bit of sympathy for that. But again, obviously, he needs to be tracking Matoma, who scored, and that got ruled out. Then, obviously, they had a corner, which Longley could have easily given away a handball, which I think a bit lucky was given as accidental. But again, they did that corner routine. Matoma run into the back post completely free. causing havoc, and we got away with that one. Then Højbjerg gives it away on the edge of his own area, and Caicedo hits the post, which was actually, if you look at it again, a magnificent save from Hugo Lloris. Really got fingertips to it. Unbelievable save from him. One of the saves of the season, I would have to say, from him.
But moments before that as well, McAllister.
And that followed a McAllister shot from 25 yards.
Another brilliant save from Hugo.
Yeah, so it was really like they were peppering us. It was really dangerous times for Tottenham. And when they did equalise, eventually, through a dunk corner, through a Brian corner dunk headed it home, exactly the same corner routine they just did a few minutes earlier with Matoma. They did exactly the same with Dunk, and we got fooled again, and it was 1-1.
I don't understand, you've got Lewis Dunk, who's their main threat from set pieces. He's allowed to creep in to the back post, unchallenged, unmarked, unfollowed, everything.
Yeah.
Like, where is the defence? I don't understand it.
And you've just been warned a few minutes before as well through Matoma, and they did just the same routine. It wasn't a new routine. They did the same routine just with a different player. And there's Lewis Dunk to head home, and it was reward for all of Brighton's good work. You have to say they deserve to be level at the time. I think going into halftime, I heard there were boos at halftime. Maybe
boos, yeah.
The commentary said there were audible boos at halftime from the crowd because we weren't playing well again. And as much as we were level, only due to some magic from Son, we didn't deserve to be. And Brighton were completely dominant. And some of the football they played as well, you have to say, some beautiful football. Like the way they maneuver the ball in between the lines very quickly, one-touch passing. Everyone knows where each other is, and they put patterns together. It's so lovely to watch.
We were letting them play that way. Dyer was.
They do it every game, though.
Yeah, it's true. But Dyer was giving it to them time and time again. Romero was consistently getting caught out of position, in my opinion. Højbjerg as well. I thought it put in a really bad display in that first half. I mean, we just kept playing into their hands, kept giving it back to them every single time, and it was just so frustrating. It really was. And just a second to talk about Sonny, because 100 goals in the Premier League is nothing to be sniffed at. The first Asian player to do that as well in the Premier League. And what a way to score your 100th goal in the Premier League.
He did it in classic Sonny fashion, didn't it? That was
vintage Sonny.
That was exactly. That's like if you tell me to pick out like how would Son score a goal, what's a Sonny goal? It's exactly that. Cutting inside, 25 yards out, a little shimmy, and then just whip it into the top corner. You have to say what a finish that was from him in Son. And I said this on the watch-along. I think he's probably the most deadly player in the Premier League, or maybe even in Europe from that position. You can't let him shoot, because more often than not he can find that top corner, and he's such a deadly long-range shooter. And if you think about his 100 goals, do you reckon like there are not many players who probably have a better collection in terms of the quality of goals than Son in his 100 goals? Because more often than not, he just like he scores a banger.
How many of those that he got yesterday? How many of those are in those 100?
Yeah, you have to say at least like 20, 25. Like a lot of them. A lot of them are from outside the box.
Literally.
Yeah, and he's an unbelievable finisher, Heung-min Son. And I think there was a tweet yesterday. 100 of his goals have come from 74 XG, which just goes to show what an amazing finisher he is. They all come from chances you don't expect him to score from.
And XG yesterday for that goal was like what, 0.1?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, must have been something similar to that. And yeah, what is that? Does that make him our second highest scorer in the Premier League then?
I think so, yeah.
Because it goes Kane on to over 200, and then must be Son, because before that it was Sheringham on 97, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so
I believe so.
He was a long-standing.
He beat Sheringham a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so Sonny, unbelievable to think that he's our second highest ever goal scorer in Premier League history. And I can't think of many players who have a better collection of goals than Heung-min Son. So congratulations to him. Hopefully he hits double figures this season. He's now on 7. And if he can get to that 10 mark, which, only 3 more to go, at least I'll make it a bit more respectable for him after a poor season.
Yeah, I think so. But it's just still a kick in the teeth when you've got a golden boot last year and you're only hitting 10 the year after. You want to kind of back that up, don't you?
Of course, but at least he can still sustain double figures, which is important, and he still has that finishing ability, doesn't he? We all know he does. It was a brilliant goal, and you saw it meant a lot to him. First Asian player to hit 100 Premier League goals, big achievement for him. So unbelievable, very proud of him.
Absolutely. But back to the game, the sense in the stadium at half-time was probably exactly how everyone was feeling. Like, all right, we've got away with one here, 1-1 draw going in at half-time. Brighton have completely dominated us. They should be clear of us, but somehow we've gone into the break 1-1 playing this terrible football, and that's why the boos rang out, because no one was happy with what they were seeing.
And you can see if you bring on the average position as well, you can see this is what I was talking about pre-match, them pinning back Porro and Perisic. Look at this is their average position throughout the game. Porro very much look at his heat map, all in his own half. Perisic as well, very much mostly in his own half as well. Only a bit of fleeting possession in Brighton's final third. And that's because look how high Matoma is. He's so high up, and look how high Solly marches. And because we can't rely on Romero and Longley to deal with them by themselves and to be isolated, we have to have our wing backs get pushed back, and that led to Porro seeing very little of the ball in the Brighton half. It led to Perisic seeing very little of the ball as well in the Brighton half, and that just pinned everyone backwards. And it meant when we went forward, we had Kulusevski, Kane and Son there, but that was it pretty much. And we didn't have the support more often than not from the wing-backs, apart from some isolated occasions. And that led to a lot of the domination, thus not being able to get out. And you can also see as well from the average position, look how congested we are. We're very much compact, that's the word. And look how spread out Brighton are, very spread out, making the pitch wider, whereas when we get the ball, we're very compact, very central, not spreading the pitch. And that led to us not being able to exploit the wings, which is where we're strongest, because we're not really a team that's going to play through you centrally, especially against a team like Brighton. And that led to that domination in the first half.
Absolutely. And then in the second half, 10 minutes into the second half, you think Brighton have gone 2-1 up again. Welbeck completely skins Højbjerg in the box, doesn't he? And sends a shot straight through Lloris. I mean, it took a deflection, didn't it?
Yeah. When I was watching it, I was like, oh God, another howler from Lloris. But then, to be fair, on the replay, it did take a deflection just in front of him. So it was harsh.
Everyone was going mad in the stadium on Lloris for that going in. But after reflection of watching it later, I think it was a bit harsh because it did take a massive deflection.
And it was just ahead of him as well. So he didn't have a lot of time to react. Obviously, it didn't look great. He probably still should have saved it, to be honest. But it wasn't as bad as initially it looked. And then obviously it got ruled out for handball, which we'll get into in a minute as well. But again, we kind of got let off one because it was so easy for them to get into the box and get a shot. Højbjerg allows Welbeck just to turn on him.
Completely skins him alive.
Yeah, just allows him to turn. And in the box, he doesn't want to put in a challenge in. And then everything blew up on the touchline.
I don't know what happened there, because apparently someone was messaging me saying something had happened in the first half with them too.
Well, something happened
pre-kickoff as well. And then this happened, and then I don't understand it, because there's this massive scruff going on, and Stellini's just standing to the side just like that, watching the pitch, not even noticing what's going on. The ref comes over, sends off Stellini, sends off De Zerbi, and Stellini's looking like, what did I do?
He didn't do anything. It was really,
he gets sent off because failing to control his staff.
Yeah, which is really odd reason. I've never heard of that before.
No, me neither.
Because surely you send off the staff who are causing the trouble. I guess what the referee, I'm assuming this is, if I'm getting to the referee's mind, he's thinking, look, I can't be asked to wade through no one knows who started anything. All the coaches were pretty much involved. He's not going to send off all the coaches. So he kind of sends off Stellini to represent all the coaches kicking off, and the fact that Stellini didn't get involved, he sends him off. But that seems bizarre to me, because how's he meant to control the bench if he's sent off?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden he takes away his ability to control the bench by sending him off. It's very strange. I don't really understand it.
Have you ever seen, though, someone that's not a manager get sent off, like a coaching staff, like a coach or something?
I've seen that.
Have you seen coaches have been sent off?
Coaches have been sent off before. I've seen that. I've
never seen it. I don't remember seeing it anyway.
Yeah, if coaches get too involved, they can be sent off.
But what this means is that we are going to see Ryan Mason take charge of the next game, Bournemouth at home. And for whatever people are saying about Mason and Stellini, I think they did a good job with, I know we've seen it before, but Eric Dyer, I actually think he did improve in that second half, and the way he was moving into that midfield, creating an option in that midfield, I thought that was a really good tactical switch from Spurs yesterday.
Yeah, to be fair, Spurs in general improved in the second half. We're actually a lot more solid in the second half, despite the fact that, again, if you bring on the second half, if you just compare the second half to the first half in terms of like got shots conceded, bring on the phone. You can see first half 4 shots to 10 in Brighton's favour, 0.99 XG to 0.42, and then you look at the second half. Although they had a bit more possession, XG was pretty much level, 0.41 to 0.45, and it was only 5 to 7 shots, and they didn't have a shot on target the whole second half, Brighton. So it was a bit better in the second half. We were a bit more aggressive, albeit we still got lucky because the goal we got a bit lucky with, the penalty, 2 penalty decisions I believe we got a bit lucky with, but we were able to carve out that opportunity. Look, it was a bit weird because when the game did go into a bit of a lull where both teams weren't really doing much. It was kind of an even game. Sorry. Then the whole thing exploded on the bench. That happened. That kind of rolled up Tottenham in a way after that happened. Then we brought on Dan Juma. We brought on Danjuma, and Danjuma, as much he didn't really do much on the ball, what he did do was he gave us a bit more energy pressing wise, and he forced Brighton into a few hurried passes and a few decisions which we weren't really doing before that, and that led to the goal essentially because Danjuma was hassling the centre backs. They played a quick pass out, and Romero was able to come in and intercept because it wasn't the most accurate pass. That led to a quick interchange between Højbjerg, Son to Højbjerg in behind. Brilliant pick out from him into Kane, who was just hanging on the edge of the box, and a brilliant finish. So yes, Danjuma comes on and doesn't do much on the ball, but what he did do was bring that energy off the ball, and that was very important, leading to the goal.
Yeah, no, it really was. And I thought it was a really nice, slick goal from Tottenham. The way Romero won it off Matoma high up the pitch, and quick one-touch football with Son to Højbjerg, back to Harry Kane. And we all know what was going to happen when Harry Kane was in that position. And it was just such a shock for all of us in that stadium to go 2-1 up at that stage where we just did not deserve to be in that situation. Mm-hmm. And moments before that, Lloris flaps at a corner, doesn't he? Romero heads it away, and it falls to Matoma, and Højbjerg completely stamps on him.
Yeah, I mean, that was a 1-1. That was a 1-1.
Yeah, I'm saying just before that.
Yeah, before that, yeah. I guess let's get into all the decisions because there was a lot of decisions to go through yesterday that Brighton will feel aggrieved on. In terms of Tottenham, I don't think any decision went against us, like in terms of, I can't remember.
Nothing went. The vet referee was very much on our side yesterday, and even like as much as I'm happy for that, it was a lot of them were disgraceful decisions. And let's start off with the first one, the goal ruled out by handball, which was Mitoma's.
So this was the Matoma handball. Obviously, we can't show the video, but this is pretty much where it hit Matoma on the arm. As you can see, at the top of the shoulder, pretty much. Which the new rules, if I'm standing here, if this is the shirt, you should be allowed basically. If I can stand up, you should be allowed handball up until the end of the shirt here. Anything below should be handball. So anything above is fine.
And I think that is above because you can see slightly the black line.
You can see, I think, the outline of the shirt. So I think for me, they got completely robbed of that decision. I think if it was one of the cases where the replays didn't give absolute conclusive evidence. Although in my opinion it did. From the reverse decision, it didn't give conclusive evidence. I didn't kind of maybe just about touch the arm. I think it's one of those where if the goal is given, they don't rule it out for handball. But because the referee on field did give handball, they didn't kind of feel like it was clear and obvious that it only touched the top of the shirt and it didn't kind of touch any part of the arm, even though, in my opinion, it didn't. I can't see any evidence to say that it did, but I guess VAR has decided that they can't find any evidence that it didn't touch any of the arms. So we got completely lucky with that one.
Yeah,
completely lucky, 100%.
Got lucky with all of them. And then early in the second half, another disallowed goal.
Yeah, that was this one
for handball, where Welbeck skins Højbjerg, and it kind of brushes McAllister I don't know, like the waist, the underside of the arm. I mean, he's trying to get his arm out of the way, and his arm is completely by his side. So I think it's a very harsh call, but I think it did actually brush his arm.
I think it does. The rule for this handball is it's not a bit different, but if it touches any part of the arm, even if it's accidental, if it leads to a goal, it's ruled out, even if it just brushes the arm. So I think it does. I think it does touch his arm. I think McAllister didn't even seem to be complaining about this one. He did complain about the Matoma one, but this one he seemed to be resigned to the fact that it was handball. So I think this one is right, although again, still harsh. A bit lucky because it only kind of brushes his arm.
And you've seen ones like that given as well.
Yeah, and in fact, when I'm looking at it, like I think there is a bit of evidence that it touches his arm, but I've watched a few replays. There's not like 100% conclusive evidence it definitely did touch his arm. You could easily make an argument that it touches his hip and not his arm, even though I think it does touch his arm. But on this one, it was different because the on-field decision was a goal, and then VAR ruled it out of a handball. So for me, if you're going to say that the Matoma one was inconclusive, I think you have to rule this one wasn't conclusive either. But they didn't. It ruled in our favour again. So a bit lucky on that, very lucky on that one. And then you had the penalty decision. There's
which one?
The first one, which is Matoma, which is he gets stamped on there. Oh.
This was the most disgraceful decision out of the lot.
Which, by the way, as of recording this, the PGMOL have confirmed and apologised to Brighton because they said that there should have been a penalty. Højbjerg stamps on him. It was such a lazy leg as well.
Not only does Højbjerg give away a penalty here, Højbjerg should have got sent off during the game. He made a number of fouls where it could have been a booking. This one should have been a booking. So Højbjerg should have been given his marching orders in this game, and that was a 1,000,000% a penalty. And how I don't understand how that's not given. How does VAR not go back at that?
VAR only did a quick check.
Yeah, how? I don't understand
and decided no. Very odd decision from VAR. Sense. He clearly stamps on him, and it's a stonewall penalty. And as well, from Tottenham's position with Højbjerg, like it was such a lazy leg. Like there was no need to put in that challenge, and like he barely goes for the ball. Once he puts his foot down, he clearly stamps on Matoma and impedes him from running. I thought that was a terrible decision, and Højbjerg was really, really poor from him. Just really poor, and again another really lucky one. And then there was another penalty decision right in the 90th minute, which is with 5 minutes to go and near stoppage time. Longley, 2 hands on Dunk, 2 hands pulling the shirt there. That's a clear and obvious penalty in my opinion. I think they what is he doing?
He's nowhere near the ball.
What the hell is Longley doing? Like that is so stupid. And he could have had one in the first half, which was could have been an accidental handball, which he got away with as well. But maybe that was a bit like ball to hand. But that is a clear penalty. That is a clear. What is if he's kind of like holding on like a bit with one hand, you can kind of say whatever, it's a bit of nothing.
No,
but
he literally pulls him back.
He's literally got 2 hands pulling back his shirt. Like it's the most stupid thing from Longley to do inside the box, especially with VAR. And again, another blatant penalty in my opinion. They've been denied, and another one we've been lucky with. So,
these weren't even the only ones. There were more in there. I mean, Perisic goes in, studs up 2-footed on Solly March, and that could have been given a red card. I don't know if you've got the images for that one.
I don't have the image. I did see it. It wasn't a good challenge. I would say I think a yellow was a fair decision, only because he didn't make too much contact with Brighton. If he'd been made more dangerous contact, I would agree that he's definitely risking a red card. I think he got away with it just because it wasn't the intensity of the challenge and the force wasn't so bad. So I think a yellow was justifiable, albeit if he did get sent off, he can't have too many complaints because it was a stupid challenge. But I think a yellow was probably fine in that situation.
And there was another one with Dyer and Dunk tussling from another corner where Dyer looks to be all over Dunk, nowhere near the ball. Don't know if you've got the images for that one.
Haven't seen that one.
That's another one that could have been given a penalty. I think it was probably less of a shout than those other ones, but still definitely a big shout for a penalty. So I think it's safe to say that we got away with one massively yesterday. And look, we take 3 points in which was a massive game, to be honest, because Brighton were hot on our heels, and now we've kind of put a bit of daylight between us and Brighton. but there are massive games to come, aren't there? Our next 3 games, I mean, our season's going to be riding on those 3 games.
I think this has been the story. This game was as much as, we got away with it, so we won it instead of, dropping points. But this game, in my opinion, was just the story of our season. Like, we have that quality in the final third that can make the difference at any moment. Those quality finishes from Son and Kane were there for to see. Brilliant finishes, and though that's what they can do. But our defence, we try and hold down, we try and be compact, and we try and keep the opposition out, but
we just
can't do it. Our defence, either they'll make a mistake, they'll lose concentration, they'll give away a penalty, they'll do something stupid, and they did it. All those times, by the way, was our defence being ridiculous in all of those instances, unforced errors, just being really, really bad, basically, our back line. And if it wasn't for the referee, we'd be sitting here again talking about a brittle defence letting us down yet again, just like they did over the past few, just like I've done all season. So don't get it twisted. As much as a great win in the circumstances, great to get 3 points, and we just about like clinging on to in that top 4 race. It was more of the same, in my opinion, yesterday. It wasn't like it was a performance that convinced me like we're turning a corner or going in the right direction.
Not at all. I left that stadium, and usually after you leave a stadium after a win, you're so happy, and the sun was shining and Spurs had won the game, and Spurs fans weren't even happy yesterday. And I think in different circumstances, if we play like that and get 3 points, you'd be delighted. But because of what's been going on, because of the direction of this football club, because you're seeing the carbon copy performances and defensive flaws and unforced errors come out every single week, it's hard to get excited about a result like this, to be honest. It really is. And that's just the current state of the football club, I'm afraid. And that's where we're at. Yeah. I think that if we kind of do go on a run, which is very unlikely now, if we do go on a run these next 3 games, I think maybe the opinions of the fan base might slightly change, and we might believe that we can do something from now to the end of the season. But it's hard just on that performance, seeing that what we have done in the previous however many games, especially away from home, it's hard to take kind of confidence from that to move forward.
I agree with that, but on the flip side, I agree. I think that for me, this doesn't represent a step in the right direction performance-wise. But what I would say is sometimes it takes a win like this, like a lucky win, where you somehow get over the line to kind of build a bit of momentum, and sometimes you can take the positives and move forward from it.
But we say that about every home game.
Yeah. True. I agree with that. Although the other home games we haven't been lucky to win, I think we've deserved to win. But this one we were definitely lucky to win. But we were definitely on a with the Southampton and Everton games in our mind. The confidence must have been very low. I think it was low going into this game, and I don't think we played well, to be honest, at all. Apart from some decent counter-attacking play occasionally. We were dominated. Our defence was brittle. We should have easily conceded a lot more than 1 goal. But sometimes it just takes a win like this to build some momentum. Like, for example, I know it's a bit of a different situation, but like Arsenal, when their title charge was faltering, like they went 3 games without a win, and and then they went to Villa, they're losing 2-1, and it looked like they were going to drop points again, and then they just get that lucky win, literally 90th minute, an own goal, somehow they get that 3 points, and it allows them to build momentum again. So maybe for us, like, after a string of bad performances, hopefully that lucky win can allow us to kind of build some momentum off the back of it. But I kind of believe it when I see it.
The difference here is that, we've shown consistently all season that we can't beat teams in and around us, above us. Apart from that one Man City game, I think we've lost to every other, rival, Newcastle, Arsenal, Man City, Manchester United. We've lost to every single one of them. So they're going to need to take a lot more convincing to tell me that we can go on a run and beat Newcastle and beat Manchester United.
100%, 100%. Like, 100%.
The difference is Arsenal they were doing it throughout the whole season. They were beating everyone. That was a blip. More like when we got that Man City game for us was not a blip, but you know what I mean, out of the ordinary.
Outlier. Yeah. 100%. I know. It's going to take a lot more convincing than this kind of performance to make me believe that we can actually get that last Champions League spot. 100%, because we're still not playing well enough. But we'll have to wait and see. Look, if we can get a win, if we can get a win next week against Bournemouth at home, all of a sudden that's 6 games unbeaten going into the game at St James's Park. And I think we'll have to. Is it 6 games unbeaten? Is that right?
The last game we lost was.
Well, we lost Wolves.
That was the last game we lost.
Was that 6 games ago? 5 games ago? Because we beat... Nah, that can't be. Was that right? We beat Forest. We drew with...
It's 5 games ago, yeah. We've gone... At the moment, we're 4 games unbeaten.
Okay, so...
2 wins and 2 draws.
So if we can beat Bournemouth, we go 5 games unbeaten, maybe a bit of momentum going to St James's Park. And look, as much as they're playing so well, Newcastle, at the moment, who knows what... If we can somehow use our quality, you never know what can do. So you never know. You never know. So look, you're just trying and take the positives. We're going to have to perform better than this going forward if we're going to build a run. But... we got the 3 points.
Yeah, we most definitely did. So that is our match review for the 2-1 win over Brighton at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday. Let me know your thoughts of the game and tell us how lucky we were to take all 3 points yesterday. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on you Spurs.